Welcome back to the show. It's John Pollock and Cody Saptic going through the UFC 209 card that's happening this Saturday night from Las Vegas, Nevada. And a fight that I think it's fair to say flying under the radar is Rashad Evans' debut at middleweight. He has had a lot of start and stops with this return, or I should say first fight at middleweight after we were expecting him to fight Tim Kennedy back in November. Then game moved to Toronto. The Ontario Commission wouldn't allow Evans to fight. Now he is set for this fight with Dan Kelly, of all people. Not exactly the first person you would have thought of for Rashad Evans to debut against at 185. But I've got to say, as we're getting closer to this fight, this to me is kind of a good test to see Dan Kelly, who wins fights in not always the most pleasing of ways, but has won 5 of his 6 UFC fights. And to me, if Rashad Evans can't beat your Dan Kelly level of fighter at middleweight, I think there's going to be a lot of questions about Rashad Evans and his future in the UFC.
Oh yeah, 100%. When you look at it in that regard, this man here, Dan Kelly, is exactly that. He's a tough test. It's hard to look good against him, and we've noticed his last couple of performances, you might be able to look good in, say, the first round. But rounds 2 and 3, if you start to tire in the slightest bit, Dan Kelly will come on. Now the thing is, I don't know what crow tastes like, but I might have to try some on Sunday because I've been talking up Rashad Evans. I don't see how he loses this fight. All around, he's the better fighter. He has big show experience. He's fought at the highest level. He's the better wrestler. He's the better striker. He's faster. He has better footwork. He trains at a better camp. He's all around the better guy. Now, when you factor in, well, maybe is he starting to get a little bit older? Maybe is he not the same Rashad of old? Then the question marks start to arise, and oh my God, is Rashad a different guy? But you look at that last run of guys that Dan Kelly has defeated, whether it be Antonio Carlos Jr., whether it be Steve Montgomery, or whether it be Chris Camozzi. Those guys are not on Rashad Evans' level. This is a huge step up for Kelly. This is a huge step down for Rashad Evans. I think when you're looking at the gambling line as well, it's a very favorable fight for Rashad, but a lot of people are on Team Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect Rashad Evans to win this, but I think there's a lot of questions. The way in which he performed against Ryan Bader, the surgeries he's had, and then getting blown out against Glover Teixeira. And as well, I mean, we've seen the chaos that happened with the Black Zillions camp that Rashad Evans is now dealing with, kind of the fallout from that. There's some interesting questions here. Also going down, David Teymur is going to be in action taking on Lando Vannata, who many people had with the knockout of the year from 2016. And Robin Black and John Ramdine are going to chat about that lightweight contest up now.
Another cool fight going down at UFC 209, a lightweight contest. Greg Jackson's Lando Vannata taking on David Teymur. And for Vannata, only 2 fights in the UFC, trial by fire, his debut taking on Tony Ferguson, who's fighting for the title, and then looked spectacular with that highlight reel knockout of our buddy John McDessie. What do you anticipate we will see, if anything, new from Vannata in this fight?
We're going to see some grooviness. I can tell you that. That is one groovy cat.
Groovy, baby.
He's a groovy dude. We called some of his fights in Japan pre-UFC days, and he flows just as well into the grappling game. And when you're facing a guy like David Teymur, who can smash up your legs, and at distance, sure, have some fun out there, play, do some kickboxing, but you also want to get in on this guy and go to where he's maybe not so strong. And I think we'll see some groovy grappling out of him too. One
of the things we know about this game, Robin, we talked about it, there's ego involved. And if you're Lando Vannata and you go into your gym and you see some of the greatest fighters in the world and you spar with some of the most talented fighters on the planet, aren't you going to want to test those against a Thai boxer from Sweden?
Sure. I mean, yeah. And this guy's an adventurer. I mean, so all of these guys are different. They're different in the way that their skills are put together, but they're different in their psychological makeup. And he's a rare one. He's an adventurer. He's getting in there. It'll be great to get paid. It'd be cool to have a belt, but he's on a path of adventure. And the best adventure in here is going up against that kickboxer in what he does best. But there's also an interesting kind of adventure in going and exploring other areas too. And I think Greg, I'm sure, will encourage him to play with all of these different zones and areas. But you're right. Once he gets in there and he starts flowing and starts getting the grooviness going, he might just want to kickbox with this guy.
When you think about the lightweight division, it seems right now, with 2 fights in the UFC, you can leapfrog a lot of people and get yourself some serious fights, which means more money, higher profile in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. How does he do that and stay true to himself?
Yeah, I think that so far why we like this guy, why he's already on main cards, why I gave him a knockout of the year last year, and this fight with Tony was one of the fights of the year, is because he's authentically true to himself. That's the vibe that we get off him. When you watch him fight, he jumped in when we were talking to George St. Pierre. He's just traveling through the world being groovy Lando. If he keeps that up, this guy is going to be a superstar. He'll win more than he loses. but every one of them will be exciting, and it's going to be really fun to watch this guy do his thing.
A very interesting prospect going down at UFC 209. It will be Lando Vannata taking on David Teymur.
Coming up, we head to Vegas to get Robin Black's keys to victory for UFC 209's 2 title fights.